Be Better, episode 49. Sitting down in studio tonight with Cheyenne. Before we get into Facing West Photography and her, we are brought to you by SubZeroPlunge.com, the best cold plunges both sides of Mississippi. My brother owns a company out of Austin, Texas. He has new units now that go down to 32 degrees, so literally sub-zero, and they go up to 107. So they do hot and cold submersion. If you're interested, reach out to me. Also use code BEBETTER for $500 off. As I said, we have a guest today, Cheyenne. I also call her Wyoming because obviously Cheyenne, Wyoming is a place. It's easier to remember. We hired her to take pictures at our grand opening of the gym, Be Better Barbell Club. Super impressed with her. Didn't realize basically how young she is, how long she's been in business for being how young she is. Super, super impressive. And she happens to be my neighbor. So welcome to the show, Cheyenne.
Hi.
First off, who are you?
I'm Cheyenne. I just turned 18. I started my photography business when I was 13, and it kind of just happened. I wasn't expecting it to have true love, and I'm just
awesome. So you said it kind of just happened. So, I mean, you're 13. So what, your eighth grade freshman year, you just like, you took pictures forever. You're always a kid running around with a camera. Your mom gave you an old camera and you just got, oh, this is so cool. I'm going to keep it up. How did that start?
I actually don't know how old I was, but at some point and did like a small bad quality camera.
Right.
And I just like always carried it around and stuff, and I loved using it. And then once like the new iPhones came out, I was like obsessed with using the portrait mode, and I would just go around taking pictures of my siblings, whatever. Then when I was 13, my dad gave me an actual camera, the one that I still use today, for my 13th birthday. And he lives in Michigan, so we were at the beach and in the woods, whatever, and I was taking a lot of nature and landscape photos, and I like put them out on social media, and everyone was like, "Wow, you're really good." And it just so happened to be that a family friend was opening a cafe in downtown Geneva, and she was like, "I would love to have your art displayed in my cafe and up for sale, whatever." And I was like, "Oh my god, yeah." Like, it didn't feel real. And shortly after that, like, people started hearing about me, and I was like, "Okay, looks like we're gonna get a business name, we're gonna get an email set up, we're gonna do all the things, make a website, social media, all that." So that's kind of how it started.
That's wild. So do you remember what kind of camera is it?
It's an Olympus camera.
Is that good? I have no idea. I have these, and that's all. That's my extended knowledge.
Yeah, so I like it. It's very like small and compact. It's really meant for like, I guess it's targeted towards people who like go hiking and stuff, and they like make products for that. So that's why it's so small and lightweight. But I'm really looking into getting a Sony because I want a new camera.
Yeah, because these are Sonys.
Yeah.
But we only went with these because we were like just told they're good for podcast. Like, I don't really know picture quality and like depth or the canvas behind you and stuff like that. My mom does a lot of shooting. I think she's been photographing for like, I don't know, like 40 years.
Oh, that's
She's
cool.
been doing it forever. And I don't know, she's got the giant, like it's like
the
a telescope. Yeah, the
lens,
huge things. Like,
yeah.
did you do anything with that? Is it the solar eclipse?
No, I actually didn't.
You didn't? Oh,
No,
that
I
was
didn't.
like a photographer's dream.
I
She had to
mean,
get like special things in front of her lens
yeah,
and stuff.
I don't have like any of that
No.
kind of equipment.
So what kind of photography do you typically do?
So
you started doing nature and stuff. You sold some pictures in Geneva.
So then when I started getting like business and people were reaching out to me, it was like my first ever session was actually a couple session, and I don't know why they trusted me because I was just 13 and I wasn't very good then, but they had their heart set on me being their engagement photographer, and I think I charged them $50.
That sounds awesome.
So
That's
after
a great price.
Yeah.
That went up lately.
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
tell you that.
So after that, the word got out that I was taking pictures, and I was doing it started with like my family, close family friends, like that. And then I just branched out into couples, seniors, families, all that. I basically don't say no to anything.
Yeah, that's good. Well, yeah, because like I said, you did our gym, and we just kind of wanted, I mean, people can run around with an iPhone and stuff like that, but it's just different when you have someone dedicated for 2 hours. You're taking pictures. Tell us what to do. That's the biggest thing for me. When Amber does these like photo shoots we've done in the past, I'm like, I don't know how to take a picture. I don't know what to pose like.
It's not even that too. It's just like the eye that a photographer
Right.
has. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people have this idea of photographers like, oh, they just press a button and that's all they do. But no, it's like they look at a subject, they look at an area, and they're like, this is what the picture needs to look like,
Mhm.
and that's how I want it to be.
Do you have certain spots like in this area where you take like someone says, "Hey, Cheyenne, I want to do family photos or engagement photos. Where should we go?" Do you say, "Hey, go to
My
the Forest Preserve," or what?
my go-to place is Leroy Oaks in St. Charles. I literally
Okay.
go there for every session. It has so much variety. Like, they have a little white house there, they have a barn, they have like a pond, river, all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah,
But anytime someone gives me a new idea for a location, I'm down to go anywhere.
yeah.
So,
Right. That's
yeah.
cool. So, do you think most of your business now is like the engagement photos and the couple stuff, or is it
Yeah.
is it taking pictures and selling them at stores now?
No. So unfortunately, the cafe that I had my photos in closed
Yeah.
a year ago, I think. So I don't have any photos for sale in a like building right
Mhm.
now. So I'm just doing like couples, families, all that. Um, so yeah, that's really all I focus on right now.
So when you started when you were 13, like all of a sudden now you had to figure out how to do websites. You had to figure out how to do me. I mean, I think girls are naturally better at social
Yeah.
media, but now it's not like, hey, I'm taking a fun photo. Now it's like you almost have to have, which I've seen you separated them. You have your
Hmm.
personal, then you have your business. Did
Yeah.
that all that start around 13, 14? We're like, okay, I got to get the website up. And
Yeah.
did you do it all yourself? Did you ask your mom? Did you hire it out? How did that work?
I literally am self-taught on everything. I
Yeah.
do everything on my own. And I guess did everything right away. Like, as soon as the lady that owned the cafe reached out to me, I was like, okay, time to start a social media page, time to get the website
Yeah.
up. And for my social media, I started on Instagram.
Hmm.
And oh my gosh, I don't know what I would do if I didn't have Instagram and Facebook. Like, that is where my
Yeah.
business comes
A lot
from,
of
like,
people's is.
seriously. And a lot of the, like, what's happening in Elgin, what's
Yep.
happening in
Yep.
Elbrin, those pages are my savior, I love them. And then, yeah, that's
Huh. So are you in a spot now where like you're reaching out for new business, like posting on those pages, putting out stuff for social media, or is like you have a lot of like repeat customers or people saying, "Hey, my friend had you, can you do this?" Like where's you
so
at with getting business?
it's been 5 years since I've had my business now, so I do have a lot of regular clients,
Yeah.
but I would say a majority of my clients are people who are, like, word of mouth, like, "Oh, I heard that you took this family's photos, I would love if you could do mine," which makes me really happy to hear
Right.
that.
Yeah. Referrals. It's
Um,
huge. And it's free.
yeah, yep. But I really only post on the what's happening pages, like, at the beginning of the year or, like,
Hmm.
at the beginning of the fall because that's busy season for photographers. Everyone wants their Christmas card pictures,
Right.
all that. So,
So do you think you had like a gradual growth? Like you start out taking pictures, all of a sudden they're in a cafe, then you're doing, $50 photo shoots for couples. Like, was it just a gradual or was it like a sprint? All of a sudden you're like, oh my God, where did all this business come from? Or
it
was it a
was
slow 5 years?
it definitely was a big jump, like,
Really?
it just happened. Like I said before, like, it was nothing I was never like, "Oh, I wanna start a photography business." Like, I never thought that I was gonna be a photographer one day, and it just happened.
Man, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Because usually it's like a lot of times when you start a business, you're like, hey, I want to do this. And a lot of people I've noticed when I've helped people like start their own businesses is they're like, the first thing they do is like, I have to make sure everything's perfect before I start. You kind of like, you got a camera, someone gave it to you, take some pictures, and then it just kind of the ball,
Yeah.
just started
But I
rolling, which
also
is
think that
awesome.
was I feel like when people are like, "Oh, you're young," like, a lot of people are like, "Oh, I don't know if I really trust you," but I that was an advantage for me because everyone was like, "Oh my god, that is so cool that you're so young," and
Hmm. So
yeah.
did you get a lot of pushback because of your age at first?
No,
Even now?
no.
Really?
I feel like maybe it's just the people that I'm surrounded with, like, the area that I'm in, everyone was very, very supportive of me, and I think it was just the way I got started off in a cafe, so that made me look more qualified,
Yeah.
I guess?
Yeah, I suppose.
So, yeah.
Yeah, because when we hired you, because Amber was, I don't remember where she was looking for a photographer, but which obviously we went with you, and I was like, oh, she's 18, she just started. In my head, I'm like, oh, she probably just started this company. I go, she'll be nice and cheap. I go, perfect, I can save a couple dollars. And she's like, no, it's going to be X amount. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right, well, if she's worth it, she's worth. Like, you don't just make up these numbers like, oh, go from 50 to
But
X amount.
the sad thing is that that price that I gave you was on the cheaper side of
Really.
photographers. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know. Amber, we booked these sessions before with family photos, and I just go, okay, I guess that's what we're paying. I
Yeah.
never think about it.
I mean, you should see the price that people will pay for photographers sometimes. I'm like, oh my God. Or like some photographers will charge for the session and then charge extra for the pictures. And I think that's insane.
I don't like that already. I don't like anything about that.
No.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously it's, a 1 to 2 hour sessions typically with you, I'm guessing.
I provide 1 hour sessions or 30-minute sessions.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then all of your legwork is at the back end of it, right? You take the pictures and then you disappear, and then 6 weeks later you thumbing through pictures, editing, and all that stuff. Is that where all like the 90% of your work is?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. People don't realize that there's all that extra time outside of it. And then on top of that, I'm doing all of the finance stuff and social media
Yep.
all on my own. It's all
Yeah.
by myself.
It's tough. My brother's an entrepreneur down in Texas, does cold plunges, and now he owns a plumbing company, I guess. And we've talked about that too, where it's like, you're just, hey, I got to figure out how to make my website better. Let me take a YouTube thing. How do I do better on social media? Let me read this book. It's like when you're like the one man show or one woman show rather for you, it's like you have to be the jack of all trades. You have to be good at everything you do. And it makes it really, really hard until like,
until it becomes a routine.
Right. Until it becomes a routine, or you're big enough to where you can hire it out.
Yes.
Like it's one or the other, but it makes it like super hard because you have to figure all this stuff out on yourself.
Yeah.
But I've always thought like that's the best way to learn. Like, let me fall on my face.
No, it really
and
is.
Then figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, my dad owns his own business, and he actually started his business around the same time I did.
Yeah.
So he helped me out a lot with that. And then my mom's a hairstylist, so she knows a lot of stuff about that. So I did have help, but it was basically all me.
Yeah. No, that's good. You should be proud of that. That's hard to do, especially being like on the younger side where you said you've actually taken it and made it your advantage rather than people being like, yeah, she's a little young.
Yeah.
And you go, well, here's my portfolio.
Yeah.
And here's the pictures I've done. So you can kind of like not shove it in their face, but like, I'm actually good. You're like, oh, okay. Yeah. That's why you charge.
And I didn't just like, I don't know. I went all in when it happened, like I did everything at once. I didn't just like take it day by day. I was like, okay, here's this, here's this, here's this. I want to be a businesswoman now.
Yeah. No, good for you. That's because that's the thing. People like, I've seen people start their business. They like start super slow. Like, I'm going to make an email. And then a month later, I'm going to do an Instagram. And then a year later, I'm going to make a website. I'm like, just go. Just make a crappy website, make an email, and start an Instagram with not the best photos. Like, at least you started something. Like, people just take too long. So that's pretty cool to hear because, like, that's my mindset is like, I'm going to fall on my face. I'm going to mess this up, but at least some things will be established when I get up.
Yeah.
That's huge. So mistakes you've made, right? Have you charged too little at first? Because that's the big thing, right? Is people like, hey, how much do you cost?
Yeah.
Right?
So
has there ever been a mistake on the money side? We're like, man, how do you know? Let me take that back. How do you know when to raise your prices, right? Because in my side of the business, we go off like market standard.
Yeah.
So like, is that how you do it, or you go, okay, I can get away with 100, now 200. Actually, I'm still way on the cheap end, but I can do this. Like, how did you get from $50 to $500?
So first of all, I wouldn't say that charging too little was a mistake in the beginning because that's what allowed me to build my portfolio. And that was like, I was also doing free sessions. Like I was like, oh,
right,
I'll take your pictures so I can have something to post on Instagram. But besides from that, I kind of set my prices on the time that's going into it, the gas that I'm using to drive places, everything that goes into that stuff. But as like every couple of years, I'm like, okay, how much money did I make this year? How many sessions did I have this year? And I go off of that. I'm like, should I raise my prices this year or should I not? And I've only raised my prices 2 times.
Really?
In 5 years.
Damn.
Yeah.
And would you say it's like industry standard for, let's say if I go to St. Charles Photography and I find an artist with Google, right?
Yeah.
And if I get a book of a 1 hour session, is Facing West Photography about the same? Have you looked up like the research on that?
I have some close photography friends who are around the same like price as me. But when you get those photographers that have like studios or like maybe their pictures look a little bit more edited and stuff like that, that's when it will get more expensive.
That makes more sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's weird is what I've seen on social media and just from what I've heard, a lot of the photographers who charge more give you less photos.
I believe that 100%. Or they charge you for the photos.
Or that.
That bothers me. That has
always it bothers me too. I don't get it.
I don't get it either. It just seems, I don't know. It just seems like, I mean, I'm fine to pay. Like they're
not doing anything during the session.
Right.
Like you know,
Yeah.
they're not
I want to
getting
pay
anything out
once
of
and be
it.
done. Like,
Yeah.
let me pay you, and then I'll get
Yeah.
100 pictures back. Cool.
No,
I'm good to go.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah, that bothers me. So, any mistakes you made? Because you said you kind of fell on your face right into it, everything at
Yeah.
once.
So I don't necessarily want to say that I'm like perfect and didn't make any mistakes, but I wouldn't say that I made mistakes because everything that I've done and decided to do in my business has led me to where I am
Right.
now.
100%.
And I'm proud of where I'm at right now, and I wouldn't change any of that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. It's just lessons, right?
Yeah.
Do you have like any issues with like clients in general, or just does everybody? Because my thing was when you came was I was like, just tell me exactly what to do.
Yeah.
I'm not here to pose for
Yeah.
you. You tell me where to put my hands, tell me to put the drink down, tell me to pick my sunglasses. Like,
Yeah.
I like that you were super direct and not like you weren't timid.
Yeah.
That's why I was afraid of like, well, she's younger, so maybe she'd be like, she won't
Not
tell
knowing
me
what I'm doing. Yeah.
Not knowing, not that you don't know what you're doing, but like, I'm not gonna tell Tom what to do. I'm not gonna tell this weird guy with tattoos what to do. Like, I'm not gonna tell this person. But you were like, hey, take the bottle out, take your sunglasses off. Like, do you have any issues with clients, or is everybody kind of, because it seems like you almost lay down the law a little bit and then it goes really, really smooth?
Yeah.
Do you have any like resistance to that, or people just kind of do what you say because you're the photographer?
I don't know if I really have issues with clients, especially not my regulars. Like, they know who I am and all that. But sometimes when I get, I guess, older people, they have an issue with my ideas and my thoughts. So they'll be like, well, I want to go take pictures over here. And I'm like, okay, let's do that at the end if we have time, because maybe I know that the lighting isn't best there. Maybe it just doesn't go with my vibe. So that's really the only issue I have.
Yeah.
I have a lot of good clients, and I'm lucky that
That's
I
good.
do.
That's good to hear.
Because I've heard nightmare stories.
Are you doing a lot of like family portraits year after year, stuff like that, and then graduations, and like that's kind of your repeat in those certain families?
Yeah, so that's actually probably one of my favorite parts about this job is that I get to watch like families grow and like little kids grow, whatever. And I love doing like side by sides, like our neighbors, the Reeds. I've done their photos for 3 or 4 years now. So I'm like, oh my God, looking back at all the pictures.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So how did you, obviously you graduated, right? You're done with high school. How did you manage all this with high school, friends, sports, classes, all this stuff? And then on the side, you're a one-woman show running a photography business. Like, were you just up late at nights? Were you super organized and you had a giant calendar of everything you had to do that day? How did you maintain structure and run a company? Because I don't know any high schoolers that ever did that.
I mean, I don't really know how I did it.
Were you super structured? Or you just kind of figured it out as you went?
I feel like I was structured. I'm a very organized person.
Okay.
So I guess that's how I did it.
Yeah.
I use a planner, like a paper planner, which most people don't use anymore.
Yep.
And I couldn't live without that. Like, if if there was a fire in my house, that's the first thing I would grab. I'm not kidding.
Camera in your planner?
Yes. Yes. I would stay up late editing when I knew I had to get things done, and I made sure to prioritize the things that were most important. So if I had a session that was needing to be edited, I would do that before I was like, oh, I'm gonna go hang out with my friends,
Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah, it is.
Did your friends, like, you have pretty understanding friends, or they're like, come on, man, let's go do something?
I mean, they get it.
Yeah.
They get it, yeah.
Were you the only one in your group that went off and did kind of your own thing with this photography stuff?
Yeah.
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 That's cool.
And I took all of their senior pictures too.
Did you? Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, make money on them.
Yep.
Smart. Good. Do you have any tips for anybody? Like, maybe there's a high schooler now listening to this and then wants to start her own photography business. What are some tips to be like, man, I wish I knew that X amount of years ago?
I mean, I guess we were kind of talking about this earlier, but I say go all in. Like, don't doubt yourself, because even if you have failures and like little bumps in the road, that's okay. It's gonna lead you to success, most likely. So I guess
just go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like my whole thing too, is just like, just go figure it out, mess it up.
Yeah.
Figure it out. Cause like, I think what's that saying? They say you learn you learn really well from your own mistakes. You learn, like, a wise man learns from another person's mistakes. So like, that's why I try to tell people, like, in some of the stuff, like, hey, I messed up this, so don't do this. But I always try to tell people, I'm like, stop trying to make everything perfect. I'm like, just start. You don't even know what the problems are because you haven't created it.
Yeah.
Like, if you have a $100 problem, good. You have a $100 problem. You have a $100,000 problem, even better. You have that. You're making that much money to where you have these huge problems. Like, then you have huge solutions. So yeah, that's cool. I mean, I'm just pretty impressed that you started this at 13. It just seems like, that seems wild.
I know.
None of this business stuff ever crossed my mind until I was like 27.
I know, it's actually crazy when I, like, think about it, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm 18," which is still young, but, like,
And you've
that's
been in business for 5 years.
yeah, and 5 years goes by fast.
Yeah, it does. It's wild.
Yeah.
So what's the next step for you? Are you gonna? I think I saw your post where you're not gonna go to college. You're gonna stick the photography route and just what post more about getting more clients in, just building the company. What's the goal
So,
now?
I'm one that thrives off of chaos,
Okay.
and I love doing a bunch of things at once. So yeah, I'm not going to college, which I get a lot of judgment for, but
From who?
literally everyone. I've
Really?
gotten judgment from my friends, I've gotten judgment from family, I've gotten judgment from random people.
What are your friends' judgments? Like just
Um,
to like the experience?
I mean, just overall, like all of those people, just that I'm not going to be successful, but you don't need to go to college to be successful. I mean, yeah, it adds success to your life, but you don't need it to be successful, in
Yeah,
my opinion.
I'm with you. I went to college for 1 semester,
Yep.
and I was done, and I dropped out because that's the thing. Like, you're supposed to go to college to get a job. Well, I have a job. I created a job.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of the whole point. And if you could be successful at it, then you're like, why would I go to school?
Yeah.
Like I think education is good.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge college
Yeah.
supporter of that stuff.
Um,
Unless you're maybe in medical, then you probably should go to college. Other than that, like
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like look at you. You
And
created your
also,
own thing.
I have so many business owners in my life that I'm like, okay, I can learn all
Right.
this from them too. If I have a question, I just go to them.
You said your dad was a business owner. What does he
Yep.
do?
He has an excavating company. Yep.
Awesome. Where's that at?
Michigan.
Michigan.
Yep.
Very cool. I got a couple buddies that do excavating.
Yep.
When did you know you wanted to do this full time? Like, was it when you were 14, 15? Because obviously when you're 16, 17, they're like, go pick your colleges, go do your visits. Like, did you do that and thinking in the back of your head you might go, or you're like, I think I should do this full time? Like, when did that maybe click?
I say that actually all of high school, I was like, it was kind of like half and half where I was like, okay, maybe I'm going to go to college. Maybe I'm going to do this full time. I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to think about it. I don't know. I was weird about it. But when I got to senior year, I was like, okay, this is real now. I'm graduating in a year. So that's when I decided, like, okay, I'm not going to school because the only reason I'd be going to school is because I want the college experience, which is a stupid reason to be in debt. And I'm gonna be
Bingo.
the only one of my friends not in debt
Yeah,
from
that's
school.
huge. That's gonna haunt them for. I mean, I know guys now that I work with that are 40
Yeah.
and they have college debt.
Mhm.
I'm like, what are you doing, dude?
Yeah.
What's going on? Like, I never understood that. It was never. My wife did the college thing for a few years, and it didn't, wasn't her thing either. So, it's props to you for like going out of your own way, doing your own thing. It's hard to being like. I mean, I guess you're kind of used to it, right? You were 13, doing your own
Mhm.
business, only one doing it. Now you're maybe only one out of your friend group not doing the college route. Kind of, I wouldn't say you're getting left behind. I think you're moving forward in a completely different direction. But
Yeah.
that's tough when you're 18 and everybody else is going
Yeah.
this way and you're walking that way.
But then I'm like, okay, I have all these friends and my boyfriend who are going to college, so I'll just go hang with
Yeah,
them,
you can visit for free.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Next fall or summer, I hope to go to esthetician school.
Okay.
I just love everything makeup and skincare. That's one of my other hobbies outside of photography. I guess that's schooling that
Yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna
education.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's what I'm planning on doing.
Yeah, and out
So
here it's like that stuff's super popular.
yeah, and I'm on the edge about going to community college, so for nursing, so I can do
Okay.
Botox because that's
Yep.
where the money's at.
I think my wife's friend is going to be doing like traveling Botox,
Oh,
where she can go to your house because she's licensed
I've
and just
never
do
heard of
it
that.
in your living room. Yeah. Like, and my wife's like, this will be the best thing ever. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to set up an appointment. Kids can still be here and I can go get Botox. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
So you're going to do esthetician, which is, I mean, it's skincare, but my wife sees an esthetician, but it's like waxing.
Yeah,
And then like
facials and stuff
eyelids,
like
not
that.
eyelids. With your eyebrows? No, your eyelids. What are these? Lashes. Or like they make them like longer or something.
Yeah, like extensions and like tints and
Yeah, that
lifts and
stuff.
all that.
She
Yeah.
does all that stuff.
Yeah.
Expensive.
Yeah,
It's a
exactly.
good career
And
to
I'll
get
be doing
into.
that with my photography too because like I was saying before, I love doing a million things at once.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I want like
Yeah.
8 different irons in the fire at the same time, and I just got to figure out which one I'm juggling today.
Yep.
So that's cool. So what do you see yourself in 5 years?
Um I hope to be out of Illinois because I hate Illinois, just the scenery and all that.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be far away from family, so I haven't really thought that hard about where I want to be exactly location wise. I want to have a studio
For
because
photography. Yeah.
so I really have been wanting to do all that because I'm like, oh my god, in the winter I can't take pictures
Right.
really.
That was I was kind of thinking. I'm like all this like forest reserve stuff. I'm like, ain't nobody walking around in the winter in a forest
Yeah.
reserve.
Yeah.
So that's where the studio would pay off. Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. But that's like I guess my hopes and dreams for that time.
Yeah. Do you think? I think like with your mindset of like maybe the esthetician thing or the Botox thing, do you think you'd be like, okay, I'm going to do my own business, or you think you're like, hey, I'm going to work for someone on the side while I do photography at my studio?
My sister has said stuff about also wanting to be an esthetician, so I don't know if she'd be in with me on this, but I would want to open up my own med spa with her
Yeah. Smart.
because I like being my own boss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you had other jobs?
No, I haven't.
I was going to say, I was wondering to see if
Yeah.
that dynamic went when someone told you what to do.
No.
I can't imagine it went very well. Yeah, that's hard because you're making your own decisions and like you're putting yourself on the line all the time. It's super hard for other people to tell you what
Yeah.
to do. I get it. I'm the same way, dude. I don't want anybody to tell me what to do. I want to be on my schedule.
Yep.
It's tough.
I danced for 15 years,
Okay.
which is my next passion, and I just got asked to be head instructor for 3 dance classes. So
Is that local?
It's in DeKalb, so that'll be my first ever like actual job
So
hired by
you're
someone.
gonna do dancing. You're
Yeah.
gonna do photography.
Yep.
And then you're gonna go put eyelids on people or whatever, eyelashes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be busy. Well, the huge thing about owning your own company obviously is like you can make your own schedule.
Yep.
So that's where like that benefit is. But just
Yeah.
when you did our photography for the gym, is that like we did like a 2-hour session, which I guess
Yeah.
would be a little bit longer. But is it like, okay, now I have 2 hours, say you have an hour session. Is that, I know I have 10 hours of editing. How do you like, or does it just kind of, does it depend on the time, the photos, the quality, the lighting? Like, how do you know like, hey, I got to dedicate 10 hours this today. I'm never going to get this done.
It's really not like, oh, I'm gonna dedicate this amount of time today to edit. It's more like, okay, when I have extra time, I'm gonna edit today. You know what I mean? Like, and I never know how long each session is gonna take me. Sometimes I'm like, boom, boom, boom with each picture, but then sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't want to be editing right now.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get like that
And
sometimes.
the
when I'm on my
lighting and all
computer.
that takes part into that. So
Right, because then you got to enhance stuff or
Yeah.
brighten it up or dim
Yeah.
it back and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How
And
do you-
also there's more pictures in some sessions versus other.
Right.
So
And you're sending what, like the top 40, top 80 of your discretion, right?
I basically send every picture that I take.
Really?
I don't understand the point of getting rid of good photos. So, like for an hour session, I say you get at least 40 edited images. But there's always more than that. There's always like 80 pictures.
Yeah. That my thing is also like you under promise, over deliver.
Yeah.
So if I buy a session with you and you're like, hey, you're gonna get 30 really good photos, and then I get 60, I'm like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever.
And I always tell people when they're like, okay, how many pictures comes with this session? I always say, there's usually always more, and there is always more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So what's your dream camera? Like,
I
is it this Sony thing you're thinking about now, or what?
I couldn't tell you what Sony camera I want because I haven't looked too close into it, and they're all just so good. Like I've
Yeah.
heard so many good things about them. I just want a Sony camera. So yeah.
So what do you shoot on now? The one
An Olympus.
Olympus.
Yep.
Then that's been fine forever. That's what you shot at our place?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
It came out really good.
I mean, I like it because it's so small and compact, but
Mhm.
then I want something that is more like, I don't even know, like sometimes I feel like the quality on my camera is a little bit off.
Right.
And I just want something that's a little bit more expensive,
Yeah.
meaning better quality.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. That's how, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know a whole lot about cameras, but I see my mom getting them and like they're like $1,000, $2,000 lenses that clip on.
Yes.
I'm like, holy cow. look at that
Photography is an
camera. I'm like,
expensive
that's an
hobby.
expensive thing.
Yeah.
My biggest fear is like whenever I see photographers and they're like whipping the camera around and they like have it on like a necklace, I'm like, dude, if that thing snaps, like that's like thousands of dollars on the pavement.
Yeah.
That makes me so nervous.
Well, and there's like when you take your lens off, there's like the inside part of the camera. And if you get a single fingerprint on that, you have to go get it professionally cleaned.
Really?
Like, I mean, you could probably do it on your own, but like that literally would ruin the entire quality of
Right,
all of your
especially if like you got
pictures.
like a dirt thing in there and scratched it,
Yeah,
and you're screwed.
yeah. You really are. You'd have to get it replaced.
Yeah, that sucks. No thanks. Yeah, it seems like an expensive. I wouldn't say hobby. Expensive business.
Yeah.
is buying cameras. Well, hopefully you get your new camera.
I
And
know.
take more pictures because the stuff you guys took at the gym, like I'm still just like I'll slowly like every week or like something I'll throw one up because
Yeah.
I don't want to just throw just those pictures up.
Yeah.
But yeah, they turned out good. So where can people find you if they're in the Northern Illinois area looking for a photographer?
You can find me on Instagram, Facing West Photography, as well as Facebook under the same name.
How did you come up with Facing West?
So I love sunsets, love
Oh, that makes sense.
sunsets,
Okay. Yeah.
and the sun sets to the west.
That's clever.
Yeah, and my dad helped me make the name.
Yeah.
So yeah, and
Yeah.
his business is West Coast Excavating, so it's kind of like matchy.
West Coast, but he's in Michigan.
Yeah,
Is it?
I don't know the meaning
That's
behind
weird.
his
Okay.
name,
It
but
works, right?
yeah,
So Facing West Photography on Instagram, Facing West Photography on Facebook,
yeah,
and what's the website?
it's on my Instagram and Facebook.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
So just the links are on your website. So
Yep.
if they want to book a session, go to your. Do they DM you? They go to your website, book something.
Phone number, email,
It's
all
all on
that.
there. Any way
DM.
to- okay.
Yep, it's all on my social
Perfect.
media.
So if you're looking for a new photographer, if you're in the Northern Illinois area, check out Facing West Photography on any place that has social media, I guess. Facebook, Instagram, her website. She is obviously lives right down the road from me. Young entrepreneur doing a million things at once, which I'm a huge fan of. So if you are interested, please hit Cheyenne up of Facing West Photography. And thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you.
I know it was a little odd when the odd man asked you to come to his basement and jump on a studio, but luckily that's why we brought your mom.
Yep.
So make everybody a little more comfortable. I appreciate you being here, spending time out of your day, and working with my crazy schedule. So
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on, Cheyenne. I hope you guys get some business from this. Okay, bye.